All right, legends, we're back for one of the best videos each and every week. We get to find out who's in these team lists in round 2, and I haven't looked at it yet. We're going to kick it off with the Knights and the Dolphins in round 2, and is my boy there? Oh, Oren Keeley is there. How good is that? It's likely, unfortunately, only going to be for the 1 week, unless there's any further injuries at training or anything like that, but Finefeuaki is out for the 1 week with HIA, and Connolly Lemuelu is out for about 4 weeks as well with his fractured eye socket. So I was like, oh, surely my boy Oren gets a chance. And he does. And guys, expect him to score pretty well in this game. And with those couple of guys out as well, I am expecting Kurt Donahue to play that 40-odd minutes again, like he did last game in round 1, and be a pretty good scorer. So we will go through the big buy, hold, sell, and I'll go through everyone from the guns, the mid-range, into those cheapies as well. That's exciting to see Oren Keeley there. But in other news in this side, Cody Nikorima does come back at 6. We see Averillo go into the centres there. And we do still see Herbie Farnworth, which looks like he'll likely be on that right-hand side, which will be really cool as well. We will see Adam Elliott return on the other side, which is ideal as well. And obviously with Cody returning, we see Sean O'Sullivan leave this team and go back to the reserves there as well. And Kenny Bromwich, who didn't travel down with them, he actually misses this side as well. If you're looking at guys to potentially look at in round 2, Herbie Farnworth still at the top of that list as an absolute out-and-out gun. Daniel Saifidi likely will continue with those big minutes, which will be cool. I think Joey Marshall-King, we're likely to see him closer to that 70 minutes now, which probably pushes him out of buy territory. Maxi Plath, a really good scorer, and if you were interested in him from the start, obviously hold on. You could potentially buy him as well. He'll get 80 minutes, and he looked a lot better than what he did in the trials. And then Tom Gilbert is obviously the clear-cut choice from this side. And if you're worried about potential minutes around him, you do have Stone, Nichols, and Josh Kerr, and obviously Kurt Donahue playing some time in this, in that middle as well. So be aware of that, obviously, but it's a very similar situation to last week, just outside of having Mark Nichols there, who wasn't last week, but they also didn't have any injuries or anything like that in game. And we know with players like Gilbert as captain, they're very likely to stay on for longer if there are injuries that do come up. And we have seen guys like Mark Nichols and Ray Stone play some bigger minutes if they need to as well. So be aware of that when you are looking at Tom. It was a very much a ceiling game for him in tackles. There will be other games where he potentially gets some more attacking stats for sure, but probably less tackles. So, the odd game he'll get 60 odd, hopefully, and other games he'll be in the mid 40s, and he'll have games in the 50s as well. For the Knights, on the other hand, I did mention that Adam Elliott does return on the interchange bench, which doesn't change much for them. They've got Hetherington, Elliott, and Matt Croker there. And we do see Brodie Jones leave this side, if I'm correct. Yeah, he moves back to 18th man, and Will Price is still in that 19th slot as well. So Elliott coming off the bench, I'm actually not expecting him to play really big minutes in this role for him coming back from injury as well. Expect Lucas and CHEAPIES Paul, two really, really good players, to keep their big 80-minute slots, with Frizzell to play that limited role that he did last week, closer to half a game. For their outside backs, it's very hard to buy any of these guys now, but Ponga, Greg Marzu, we've got Bradman Best, who had a bit of a tough one last week, and I expect he'll bounce back. Expect that left-hand side to be pretty strong, but they are also up against Herbie, or up against Asako as well, which is a really strong side last week, and they were able to score a couple of tries down there for Jermaine Asako. So that left-hand side defensively for the Knights will have to be on their game, and that Bradman v Herbie matchup's going to be so hectic to watch. I do expect the Knights to win this game, and that's the way I'm tipping, which you saw in today's video. And if you haven't checked out Mitch and Matt's video, guys, I really, really implore you to do that. A great discussion between two very, very smart coaches, going through their teams and their potential trades and thoughts on a lot of guys this week, pending TLT, obviously. So go check that out, and you get my tips and the People Squad, and also the next 3-game impact video that I just put out today as well. So plenty of content, plenty of different styles of content as well, with Mitch doing a weekly video, same as Scoop, same as Nikki, and then all my good stuff as always. So that's the Knights. There's not too much else to say on them. Fletcher Sharp looked good, but how many players do you want to have and buy in round 2 or 3 from the Knights when they do miss out in round 4? Next up on the list is going to be the Wars up against the Manly Seagulls. And let's check it out. So for Warriors, we do see the same combination in their back 7, which is good. So Metcalf does not lose his spot. They do push Barnett back to 10 with Aaron Clark in the 13 and Dylan Walker at 14 with Ford, Valmaga, and also Halasima. So nothing changes at all for the Wars side. I think Fish is a clear hold. I think Barnett is a clear hold. Aaron Clark, I think you can easily sell if you want to upgrade him to, well, if Jamie Humphries is named, I'm not sure at this stage. Guys like Leataua, I think should have a nice bounce back, game in the next couple, whether it's this week against Manly or not. I also expect Metcalf to improve as well. Still going to see a bit of a kicking split between Harris Tavita and Metcalf, but are they going to get beat up pretty hard by Manly, or is they going to be sticking in this game? That's going to be the big question for the Warriors boys. And for the Manly boys on the other side, Garrick's still there, Turbo's still there. That's great news. Lehigh Hopewade still in that spot, and we do see Tommy Talau in the 19 jersey. So it looks like he's just missed out at this point. I wouldn't expect him to be a late in to this side. Interchanges Simkin, Waddell, Bullymore, and Sipley, so very much the same for them. Jazz Savanga starting in the 9 again, and the back rowers of Olakwatu and Ben Trebojevic. Yeah, very similar situation with these guys. Olakwatu you can purchase, but don't expect to try every week. Although, it could be one this week as well. We obviously don't know. He's a guy that can easily get in the mid-40s. Garrick, still a good purchase if you need someone around that price point with the jewel that you can trust for the year, outside of those obvious head knocks and the like there. Don't chase DCE score. And actually the big one there is Takeaho being out. So what happened here? Josh Alloway comes in for Siwa. So I don't know if they just decided they need something a little bit different, or he did actually cop an injury or something like that in that game. I might have that off, and I'm not sure. But if you know what happened with Siwa, check it out for me and let me know in the comments. And just check if someone else has commented as well. Every time I ask someone to help me out in the comments, there's like 7 people that say the thing. Just have a quick look up or down, and you should be able to see if someone else has answered it. So thank you for helping out. Make sure you do subscribe or follow along on YouTube and the podcast, guys. I really appreciate that. And I have dropped the prices as well for the private group. If you want to be in with the crew, if you want to be in and amongst the prizes and stuff like that as well, I've dropped both of those prices down. So all the info is in the description to be part of that private crew. There's well over 300 now, and it's been an incredible start to the preseason and finishing off round 1 with some really, really good results. So I'm excited with that. For the Panthers, Brian To'o does return, and we do see Luke Garner come out of the centres with Paul Alamotti return to the centres, which is good for him. And Jack Cole keeps his spot at number 6, which is very, very interesting. Cleary, I think, is the best captain option this week. Get around it. Isaiah Yeo is there, obviously. Sorensen, Liam Martin, Leota, Lindsay Smith. Everything's the same there. Garner moves back to the bench along with Isaiah Papali'i as well. So it'll be fun to see how that one plays out. And we do see Liam Henry in the 20, just coming back from the injury that he did cop. Holy moly, we have some changes. Okay. Roosters, in the outside backs, it stays the same. So that's good news. Nwangani Tawaze and Rob Toya. Good news for them is they have the spot. Bad news is they come up against the Panthers. So if you have any ability to loop, this could be the right idea to loop an outside back from one of these, from this team against the Panthers. But I do understand Jack Cole being a potential loop option as well. In the forwards, we do see Nafahu White and Collins stick steady along with Connor Watson. And White is a very, very easy hold, especially when you see the situation that's thrown up here in the forwards with Selesi Feketi, named in 13. Very, very impressive. Siwa Wong, if you do own him, I think it's an easy hold now that he has been named on the edge for this one. And the interchange is Sasalu, it is Blake Steep, and Makahesi Makatoa on the bench. So yeah, it's a pretty full-on situation there. And one of my loopers, I think, Ethan Roberts, is getting closer and closer to this team. So pretty funny how that one's worked out so far. But do expect some good minutes from White, from Wong, from Fogarty for sure. Probably similar to that 50. And he's an interesting little pick, even with, if Butcher's back in the next few weeks, sure, he'll go back to the bench, along with Victor Radley as well. So expect close to 80 minutes, or probably bang on 80 minutes for Connor Watson again this week. Nafahu White, expect closer to the 50 again. And yeah, Crichton still an okay option, but yeah, no. Do you want to buy guys against the Panthers from this team anyway after they got trounced. I'm not sure if that's the way you want to go about it. But yeah, Radley's out for this week, hopefully this week only, and we do miss out on Nat Butcher for another week, maybe two. So Leslie Fiketti, we'll go in and deep dive him in the buy, hold, sell tomorrow. Dragons and Rabbitohs. It's going to be a fun one as well. So for the Dragons, we do see the same outside backs. Still no Sione Finau in that side. And then in the forwards, looks exactly the same again with Catchman and Emre Gula both scoring really, really well. In the interchange bench, Blake Laurie returns, hey? Vitala Mariner and Hamish Stewart. So obviously with Ryan Catchman leaving this side with his ACL injury, we do see Blake Laurie returning, and there's still no Tom Eisenhuth, which is pretty interesting. Am I correct in saying that? Yeah, no Tom Eisenhuth. Yeah, so there you go. Expect Leilua probably to take a few less minutes again, like last week, with Ram Vitala-Mariner keeping that spot. With no Eisenhuth, it probably makes Hamish Stewart a little bit safer in this side. Got good minutes last week, and I probably expect somewhere in the mid-30s for him rather than the 40-odd. Similar situation with Couchman down into like the mid-50s. Gula 50 or so, and then just depends if Luciano Leilua is going to spend the full 80 on there. Does DeBellin play closer to 60? Does Little play more minutes? There's a lot of different moving parts in this team, and I personally think it's a good idea to hold off on Dragons in round 2, given they have the bye in round 3. But yeah, some fun ones in there, and Hamish Stewart, Gula, and Couchman for sure. And then is the minutes going to be there for Jacob Little in this one? Jamie Humphries is named a 7. Let's go. Never in doubt. Lewis Dodd in the 19. That was expected on my end. But in the interchange, Jaden Sullivan, Havili, Duncan, and Totola, they've named the same side in the forwards, which is good for guys like Lockie Hubner. Davy Moale will be leaving my side. Thank you for your terrible service, Davy. I expected a lot better, especially you being my pick for breakout forward this year. You got off on a bad note. I think he will definitely come back, but not the way we wanted it to play out. But Fletcher Myers actually named in the centres in this one, with Tass staying on the wing, which I don't think helps him at all. He's much better in the centres. Fletcher is going to be there for a short period of time, and very similar to that with Bailey, Bentley, Hape. I think he's going to be the shortest, and Fletcher probably moves to the wing when they do get Whiten back next week. So how long is it actually going to be for Fletcher? It could be a while with Munro out. But again, it's probably not a team you want to be focusing on, is someone like him. And same with Bailey, Bentley, Hape. A fun last name, that's for sure. On the Dragon side, one person I did forget to mention there was Tuipulotu. So a mid-400s pick now. Yes, he's going to go up a decent amount this week, and I think he'll score a try at least against the Bunnies and probably score in the 40s and make some good cash. But he does have a bye in round 3, and then it does get a little bit harder for them. And he is a player that hasn't performed incredibly well over a period of time. We are banking on him continuing to outperform what he has done in the past next to someone like Val Holmes. That's what you're looking at with Christian. Can he continue to do that? Potentially. Is it something you want to bank on with a bye next week if he happens to go a 20-odd, which can definitely be possible without a try? He scored 70-odd with 3, but that's him getting perfect ball and doing the right thing. And he's going to come up against Campbell Graham's side, which, great defensively. We'll see how this one plays out. There wasn't a lot of points in that Bunnies game. Is that just by design, or is that due to both the teams not having a lot of attack? So that's that. So Davy, get him out of your side. Hubner, a really solid buy as well, and we'll go through him in the buy, hold, sell video. Cowboys and Sharks at 5:30 on Saturday evening. With those two squads, you do see the Cowboys with Tom Duffy and Jackson Purdue named. Very interesting. I was hoping that'd be the case. Kai O'Donnell. Holy moly. Kai O'Donnell in the 12 jersey. Mayday. Where is Jeremiah Nanai? He's been dropped. Defensively. Terrible. Wow. Jeremiah Nanai. And I have picked Kai O'Donnell to get into this side. I didn't think it'd be at the expense of Jeremiah Nanai. I just thought he'd play a bit of a role this year at some point. And in my cows, and I just felt like he had a little bit of something, which would be good for our side. And hopefully he can come out and play well defensively, because we were terrible. And with Nanai being on that left-hand side now, that right-hand side of Nikora, of Hines, of Jesse Ramian would have absolutely torched him. So that makes sense. The question is going to be, how long is that going to happen? And we'll work that out as we go. But John Bateman, a really good purchase he was last week, picking up a 57 in that absolute shellacking, and nothing changes on their interchange, and still Jake Clifford in that 18 role. So if you do own Purdue, I think he's a very easy hold this week. See how it plays out. It's probably not going to be great against that right-hand side. Thankfully for me that Tom Duffy's up against, Carolina for one, but Teague Wilton compared to Britton Nickra. That's for sure. That's for sure there. But that's my cows. On the Shark side, nothing changes too much for them at all. Very, very settled side. Same interchange, exact same team. So, guys that you could potentially target, Kale Euro. Hines, I think, needs to be sold, although this week is probably going to be a good week for him. So if you do want to wait one more, completely understand that one. You can hope that he gets the goal kicking back and all this type of stuff. Britton Nickra and T. Wilton, I expect to have pretty good weeks in this one. Raiders and Broncos. Tamale definitely named. Albert Hopewadi named on the other wing. And how's this game going to go? That's the big question mark here. We see Morgan Smithies back in 13. We do see Matty Nicholson and Simi Sasangi. All right, so they're real short on middle forwards, and this in itself just makes it look like Hawes was going to play massive minutes, tick, potentially similar for Smithies, and I do expect Zach Hosking to play the same minutes as last week. Now it's Sasangi, and you've got Nicholson on that bench. We could also see like a Trey Mooney come in instead of a Sasangi. I think, in my opinion, would be how I'd play this one. But Matty Nicholson expecting to play a fair bit of middle, and I do think with Tarpany out, they can't afford to play Hosking any less than the minutes that he has been providing in that sort of high 60 to 70 range. So I'm expecting the same for him, and I do expect Tom Starling to have a really good game as well. And it sounds like Jaden Brayley's signing with the Raiders, but it's going to be most likely from next year. So I still think you can go into this safely picking up Starling, who we'll discuss tomorrow in buy, hold, sell. And Horsburgh, you expect similar minutes, somewhere around that 60 mark for him in this squad and where it's at. And just be the question of how many minutes does Smithy plays. Does he go for 60 or does he go for 80 and above? Well, it could be if it's extra time, Jamie. Tamale, a really good purchase, and one you want to concentrate on this week as well. Jamal Fogarty, really solid pick, but again, you're coming up against the Broncos. How exciting is guys like Tamale going to be in this one? And can you wait one more week? If I'm looking at it potentially in Supercoach to bring him in this week, and the question's going to be, do I bother making that decision now? Am I going to play him? If I bring him in, all those types of questions. So look at getting Horsburgh in, but don't blow up your team for it. And on the Broncos side, you've got the same back seven, which is nice. We expect Stags to be out for a while, so plenty of cover there. Goz is the starter, expecting to play pretty high minutes again with Jensen and Wilson in that bench role. So same team for them. You can obviously buy Haas. Guys like Pakes and Hetherington you can hold on to. They both had attacking stats, and will that continue? Probably not. Shibasaki you can definitely buy. Have a look at him. We'll discuss him tomorrow as well. And guys like Carrigan and Haas, very, very scary men to potentially leave out. And obviously Xavier Savage out for 1 week, guys. So expect Albert Hopewadi to leave this side next week unless there is an injury. All right, finishing it off with the Eels and the Tigers. And on the Eels side, we see Sam Rani there with Jake Tungo obviously injuring that bicep, you'd imagine. We see Sean Lane. Oh, Kelma Tuolangi. Gone. Where is he? Not even there at all. Katoga's back. Wow, Kelma's just gonskis. There you go. Heath Mason's out as well. Anyway, let's get to it in a second. We've got Tuivati. He looked really good, actually. I was happy with him. Katoga on the bench. Riley Smith and Matt Dury. Goodness me, there's some minutes there for Jermaine Hopgood. That's for sure. Sean Lane with Jack Williams. Expect them to play pretty big minutes as well. And one of them to probably play 60, or if they split 70 each, we'll see how that one works out for sure. Hand's still there starting. Will he play big minutes? That's the question. And Dylan Brown there with his 10-year, $13 million deal. Pretty wild stuff. I expect this to be a fairly close game, and I expect Yongi to play, for the team to play a lot better and for him to get more opportunities. It was great him popping up on the left and the right. I'll be excited to play him this week up against not as incredible a team, that's for sure. But Buller is back. Staffatoa is back. So that was the expectation, and it has come to fruition, which is awesome. He definitely is a better player than Fatape at this point in his career. We'll see how far Tape goes, but at the moment, that's where it needs to be. And this back seven now looks really, really strong. With Api Coruscant returning as well. So Buller, Toa, and Coruscant returning, and I will be tipping the Tigers this week. If you still don't have Terrell May at 41% or whatever it was, get him in your side, please. Please. Don't trade Purdue for Stafford this week. See how he plays and make some decisions from there. Seyfarth can easily be held. I understand people selling, but it's 1 week and we know he's got really good stats. Samuel Afenu looked pretty good on that side as well. So obviously that's where a lot of their attack is going to go through because of that, the skill that he does possess. And the interchange, very similar. Obviously, there's no Tristan Hope. So Talon Silva becomes that guy on the bench with Hunt, Bird, and Fainu. Yeah, not too much else to say, really. Twali, still a great option with Couchman, these types of guys in that price range. But, how much do you want to jump on, someone that you didn't grab in round 1 when you don't exactly have to? All right, let's quickly go to Titans. And we do see, pretty well the team that we thought. Sammy in the centers with Jojo Fafita. Brimson and Campbell's very exciting. Tino starting, which is good. Cleese Haas on the other side with Bofo Moore with Dave Fafita off the bench. And people were asking about Dave Fafita. Why don't we start with him? He's a pod. He was coming off the bench in the trials, and that's exactly how it's going to roll out here as well. Brock Gray on the interchange, exciting for him, with Jolliffe, Fafita, and Randall. So a very strong bench, that's for sure. And Regan Campbell-Gillard has been named, which is very exciting for him as well. Yeah, not too much else to say on their side. And we're going to see some guys back for the Doggies. In the back 7, looks very, very, very much the same, which is good. Burton and Sexton. Saluka Fafita keeps the spot. So Sammy Hughes looks like he's out 1 more week. And they're going to roll in with a very similar team, except for Josh Curran returning into this squad as well, with Harry Hayes coming out, who played really well last week as well. So Hayward, Tupanua, Curran, and Jamin Salmon. We'll have to see if Preston gets the 80, but hopefully with like a Saluka Fafita in the side playing less minutes, he can continue to do so. Very fun, bunch of teams this week. There wasn't too much that was out of pocket or different, and that's probably a good thing. We can get through round 1 and get into round 2 with not too many changes happening, and you guys can sort out your teams and get things right for round 2. Good luck everyone in round 2. We've got plenty of videos to come. As I said, the buy, hold, risk, it, sell. We've got Q&As, we've got all the good stuff, so stick around on the channel. It's a one-stop shop for everything you need NRL Fantasy and Supercoach. So thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch you in that next one.